The air hangs thick with humidity and the cloying sweetness of too many floral perfumes, a scent I've come to associate with manufactured politeness and the slow burn of resentment. It's sweltering in this rented hall, the kind of heat that makes your skin crawl and your temper simmer just below the surface. I plaster on a smile, trying to look like I belong, like I want to be here, surrounded by the ghosts of expectation and the heavy weight of inherited disappointment. My parents stand near the punch bowl, holding court. My father, all bluster and booming laughter, commands attention. My mother, sharp eyes missing nothing, orchestrates the social theater with practiced ease. They catch my eye, and for a split second, I see a flicker of something I can't quite name, not pride, not love, maybe pity tinged with something colder. A shiver, despite the heat. They call me over. The circle of relatives shrinks, eyes turning towards me. It feels like stepping into a spotlight, only the light isn't warm. It's harsh, exposing. My son, Finn, 13 years old and all sharp angles and quiet intensity, stays close, his hand brushing against mine for a moment of silent support. He knows, on some level, what these gatherings are like for me. He's witnessed the years of subtle digs, the not-so-subtle comparisons to cousins with more stable lives, the way my parents' smiles never quite reach their eyes when they look at me. My father claps me on the shoulder, the gesture more proprietorial than affectionate. Our artist, he bellows, the word artist stretched out, dripping with skepticism, as if it's a curious hobby a child might have, not the career I've built, painstakingly, brick by brick. My mother takes over, her voice soft, almost gentle, which only makes the words land harder. Yes, still pursuing that creative path, dear? It must be so challenging, not having something more reliable. Reliable. That's the word they always use. As if chasing a passion, building something from nothing with your own two hands and a hell of a lot of grit, isn't reliable. As if working 80-hour weeks for someone else's dream is inherently superior to building your own, even if it means tight months and constant hustle. Cousins offer sympathetic, tight smiles. Aunts and uncles shift uncomfortably. The silence stretches, not an awkward silence, but a heavy, pregnant one, filled with unspoken agreement. This is the performance they always put on. The public airing of my perceived failings, a ritual sacrifice on the altar of their conventional expectations. I feel the familiar heat rising in my chest, the old shame trying to surface. For years, I swallowed it. Tried harder. Sought their approval like a lost child seeking shelter. I went to the right schools, considered the right careers, tried to fit myself into the mold they'd prepared. But the mold never fit. It chafed, it suffocated. So I broke it. I chose a path they didn't understand, a path they openly disdained. And for that, I became the family's cautionary tale. The one who had potential but wasted it. The failure. The word hangs in the air, unspoken but screaming. My mother continues, her tone still falsely sweet. We just worry, you see, about your future. About Finn's future. It's difficult to build a life on hope, isn't it? Hope. They make it sound like a flimsy, childish thing. Not the fierce, unyielding determination that has pulled me through sleepless nights, crushing debt, and the constant sting of their disapproval. Hope wasn't a wish, it was fuel. But hearing it now, in front of everyone, with Finn standing right beside me, it hits differently. It's not just about me anymore. It's about the shadow their judgment casts over my son, over the life I'm trying to build for us. I glance at Finn. He's watching me, his eyes wide, absorbing the scene. The familiar hurt flashes across his face, the burden he shares by simply being my son, by being part of this perceived failure. And in that moment, something inside me snaps. The years of swallowed shame, of trying to be enough, of hoping for a crumb of validation, it all curdles into something cold and hard. I see their faces, not just my parents, but the others too, the silent jury. And I see Finn, my reason for breathing, for fighting, for not being a failure. This isn't just about their disappointment in me. It's about their active undermining, the subtle obstacles they've placed in my path, the resources they withheld because I didn't conform. The challenges my mother spoke of? Some of them were manufactured right here, within this family circle. The refusal to co-sign a crucial loan years ago that cost me a key opportunity. The quiet whispers to potential investors painting me as unstable, a risk. The way they leveraged their name, their connections, to subtly close doors that might have opened for me. They didn't just see me as a failure. They actively worked to ensure I remained one, validating their own narrow view of success. They wanted me to crawl back, admitting I was wrong, begging for their help on their terms. But I didn't. I fought harder, found other ways, built other connections, learned to rely only on myself and on Finn. The heat in my chest transforms from shame to something sharper, cleaner. A cold, focused rage. They think they've cornered me, delivered their final public indictment. They think I have no answer, no defense. They think they've won. They're wrong. This isn't just a family reunion. It's a courtroom. And I am done being the defendant. My mind races, pulling together threads that have been years in the making. Quiet conversations with lawyers, careful gathering of evidence, signing documents in hushed offices. Plans made not out of malice, but out of necessity, out of self-preservation, out of a fierce need to protect the life I've built, and to protect Finn from the toxic reach of their judgment. I look at Finn again. His expression is a mirror of my own past pain, the pain I refuse to let him inherit. This stops here. Now. My voice cuts through the heavy silence, calm, level, completely devoid of the hurt or anger I usually show them. It takes them by surprise. Reliable. I repeat, the word a flat statement, stripping it of their intended sarcasm. It's true, the path I chose isn't as predictable as some. It takes immense hard work, resourcefulness, and sometimes it requires protecting yourself from unreliability. My parents exchange a quick, confused glance. They expected tears, defensiveness, maybe an argument. Not this quiet confidence. I turn slightly to Finn, meeting his eyes. He looks uncertain, perhaps anticipating another painful exchange. I give him a small, almost imperceptible nod. A signal. His eyes widen slightly, understanding dawning. He reaches into the backpack he's been carrying, the one they probably dismissed as just a kid's bag. He pulls out a thick envelope, legal size. He walks, slow and deliberate, across the small space separating us from my parents. The air crackles with unspoken questions. What is he doing? What's in the envelope? Finn stops in front of my father. He holds out the envelope. His hand trembles slightly, but his gaze is steady, fixed on his grandfather's face. He doesn't say a word. He doesn't need to. My father takes the envelope, a frown deepening on his face. He looks at Finn, then at me, suspicion clouding his features. He tears it open impatiently, expecting what? An apology letter? A printed-out business plan. He pulls out the documents. His eyes scan the first page. The legal letterhead. The formal language. His face, usually so ruddy and confident, drains of color. My mother leans in, peering over his shoulder. Her hand goes to her mouth. A small, choked sound escapes her lips. The room feels like it holds its breath. Everyone is watching. The whispers stop. The clinking of ice cubes ceases. The smiles vanish. My father's hand shakes violently now, the papers rustling. He looks up at me, his eyes wide with shock, then morphing into something raw and ugly, disbelief, quickly followed by incandescent rage. "What is this?" he croaks, his booming voice reduced to a strangled whisper. I step forward, standing beside Finn, placing a hand on his shoulder. My voice is still calm, but there's an edge to it now, a steel I haven't allowed myself to show them before. It's a cease and desist letter, I explain, speaking not just to them, but to everyone in the silent room. Served alongside a formal notice of intent to pursue legal action. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Legal action? Against their own parents? The failure. Against you. I continue, looking directly at my father, then my mother. Regarding your sustained and documented efforts to interfere with my business and professional relationships over the past 7 years. The emails, the phone calls to associates, the spread of false information, the leveraging of your position to limit my opportunities. Their faces are masks of disbelief and horror. They thought their manipulations were invisible, protected by the shield of family, dismissed as parental concern. They never imagined I was keeping track. Building a case. This document, I hold up a finger, indicating the papers shaking in my father's hand, details the specific instances, the evidence I've collected. It also outlines the impact your actions have had. The contracts lost, the income suppressed, the damage done. I pause, letting the weight of my words sink in. They always measured my success by my income, by my material wealth, compared to others. They saw my financial struggles, the lean years, as proof of my inherent inability. They never considered, or perhaps refused to consider, that they were actively contributing to those struggles. They were poisoning the well, and then blaming me for being thirsty. And it quantifies the damages, I add softly. The financial restitution being sought. It's a significant amount. More than I've earned in my entire career combined. Funny, isn't it? You called me a failure, incapable of building wealth. Yet, the path you forced me onto, the very obstacles you created, have led me to a situation where I stand to gain more financially from your interference than I might have gained had you simply left me alone. The irony is a bitter taste on my tongue, yet also strangely satisfying. They tried to keep me small, dependent, a testament to their wisdom and my foolishness. Instead, their malice has created a path to unexpected, significant gain for me, while simultaneously exposing their pettiness and costing them dearly, both financially and reputationally, right here, right now, in front of everyone. My father sputters, finding his voice, albeit a shaky one. You can't. Family. You wouldn't. Family? I echo, the word hollow. Is that what this has been? Or has it been control? Has it been punishment for not living the life you wanted for me? My voice rises slightly, losing its calm edge for the first time, the years of pain leaking through. You didn't just call me a failure. You tried to make me one. You actively sabotaged me. And you did it while smiling in my face, while pretending it was for my own good, while judging me for not succeeding when you were busy cutting the legs out from under me. My mother starts to cry, silent tears tracking through her makeup. She looks less like a heartbroken parent and more like an actress whose cue was missed, her carefully constructed facade crumbling in public. My father crumples inwards, the bluster gone. He looks lost, cornered. He glances around the room, at the faces staring back at him. Curious, shocked, some perhaps with a dawning understanding that my failures weren't entirely my own. His status, his authority, his carefully cultivated image of the successful patriarch who just worries about his wayward child, it's all dissolving in the oppressive heat of the room, under the weight of a few sheets of paper delivered by his grandson. This isn't over, he mutters, clutching the papers like a lifeline. No, I agree, my voice firm again. It's not over. But this version of it is. I gesture around the room, at the silent, watching relatives. The version where you publicly declare me a failure, while privately ensuring I struggle? That's over. I look at Finn. He's standing taller now, his eyes fixed on mine, a silent conversation passing between us.
Pride.
Relief. Understanding. He sees the cost, but he also sees the necessity. He sees strength, not failure. I turn back to the room, addressing the silent audience. I built a life on hope, yes, and on hard work, and on believing in myself. When the people who were supposed to support me the most actively tried to tear me down, I pause. This isn't about airing grievances. It's about setting boundaries and demanding accountability. My gaze settles on my parents one last time. The mask of false concern is gone, replaced by raw, exposed anger and fear. They are blindsided. They came prepared for their usual performance, the ritualistic humiliation. They never anticipated I would not only refuse to play my part, but that I had prepared my own act, one that flipped the script entirely, using their own tactics, leveraging power, making calculated moves against them, but through official, undeniable channels. They called me a failure. But a failure doesn't identify sabotage. Gather evidence over years, consult lawyers, and prepare a legal strategy that turns the aggressor into the vulnerable party. A failure doesn't find the strength to stand up in the face of public humiliation and deliver a decisive, strategic counterblow. They taught me, unintentionally, how to fight in their world. And I learned. I take Finn's hand. His grip is firm. "We're leaving," I announce, my voice carrying clearly through the stunned silence. No one moves. No one speaks. It's as if the entire room is frozen, caught in the aftermath of a sudden, unexpected storm. The sweet smell of perfume feels suffocating now, mixed with a metallic tang of tension and the faint, unpleasant odor of exposed secrets. We walk away from the punch bowl, past the frozen faces, towards the exit. The space behind us hums with shocked whispers, with dawning realization. The air outside feels miraculously cool, clean. The oppressive heat of the hall dissipates, lifted not just by the physical escape, but by the release of years of pent-up pressure. Finn squeezes my hand. He looks up at me, a genuine, small smile on his face. Not the tight, sympathetic one from before. A real one. "Mom," he says, his voice quiet. "That was wow." I smile back, a tired, shaky smile. "Yeah, kiddo. That was the long time coming." We get in the car. The silence inside is a comfortable contrast to the charged air we just left. Driving away, watching the hall shrink in the rearview mirror, feels less like escape and more like finally, steering my own course. The victory is real, the legal action is serious, and it will have significant consequences. They will feel the failure now, the kind that hits them where they live, where they measure worth. It's not sweet, exactly. There's a profound sadness there, the grieving for a relationship that never truly was, for the parents I always wished they could be. But there's also a quiet strength settling in my bones. I protected Finn. I protected myself. I stood up for the life I built, the hard-won success that they tried to dismiss and destroy. They called me a failure, but in their efforts to prove it, they only highlighted their own smallness, their own fear of anything outside their narrow definition of acceptable. The road ahead is still uncertain. There will be fallout, anger, maybe more legal battles. But for the first time, I face it not as the vulnerable child seeking approval, but as the architect of my own destiny, consequences and all. The paper trail they dismissed me for not having was exactly what I used to build my defense. My alleged lack of reliability was the breeding ground for the resilience and resourcefulness it took to fight back. They thought I was nothing. They were wrong. And the legal notice, handed to them by the grandson they supposedly worried about, was the quiet, devastating proof. If this story hit close to home, if you've ever felt the sting of judgment from those who should lift you up, I'd love to hear your version. Drop a comment below with where you're listening from and what time it is. Thanks for being here. Subscribing helps bring more of these stories to life.